Dr. Steve Pieczenik, and this is Steve Talks. Hello, Mr. and Mrs. America. This is Dr. Steve Pieczenik. Today, I'm talking about a very serious subject that has been bothering me for some time. As many of you know, I have been warning our country against going into war in Syria for the simple reason that I had been in Syria, I had worked in Syria, and I spent over 18 days there to assess the situation. And one of the things that I learned was that the Syrians are very tough. They will not give up their regime. Bashar Assad is a physician. He's smart. He's decisive. And his accompaniment and allies, including Hezbollah, 8,000 strong, and the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, will be a very effective deterrent against our overthrowing the regime. Now, why am I saying that I think we're going to war? The recent Manchester Mall massacre of 22 students and May 22nd was a tip-off to me that, in fact, this false flag that was created by crisis actors was the reason to allow Britain to get into this war and to justify their alliance with the United States. Also, I have warned against Christians being killed by ISIS and Al-Qaeda. Well, lo and behold, what happened in the Sinai? Yesterday, apparently several Coptic children were killed on a bus on their way to church. How propitious on the time and the date in order to justify the Egyptian involvement in the overthrow of Bashar Assad. What I am saying again is that we don't need to go to war, and that Germany, Italy, Spain, France, and England have to be very wary of allowing our generals to go into Syria and attempt to overthrow Bashar Assad. It will cost us many lives and a lot of money. On the second note, let me talk about a man whom I respected, but I did not get along with, and that was National Security Advisor Zbigniew Brzezinski, who died, and I can say rest in peace. However, I found him to be very assertive and very forceful in his attitudes towards national security, and I could not accommodate to that. Instead, I worked with Cyrus Vance, who I found in contrast to Zbig, a very quiet, professional gentleman who initiated on behalf of Jimmy Carter the Camp David Accords, and along with several Foreign Service officers, Herman Iles, Frank Wisner, Chad Freeman, David Newsom, all Foreign Service officers, we were able to create, implement, and initiate the Camp David Accords of '79, a peace treaty between Menachem Begin and Sadat, and we were successful at it. Zbig, unfortunately, had a real dislike for the Russians, and particularly the Soviets. And what he did was to funnel billions of dollars to the Mujahideen in Afghanistan and drive out the Soviets from Afghanistan. That I had no argument with. Where I had an argument with Zbig was the fact that he also, because of his hatred for the Soviets, he sponsored the Chinese and their sponsorship of the Khmer Rouge in Cambodia. And in effect, he facilitated the genocide in Cambodia of about 1.2 million Cambodians killed by the Khmer Rouge and Pol Pot. 9 to 10 years later, I had the opportunity under the Bush senior administration to come back into Cambodia and to try to undo what Zbigniew Brzezinski had done and basically take the Vietnamese out of Cambodia, neutralize the Chinese effect on Cambodia, and worked with Khmer Rouge and the people involved in that new government, Hun Sen, and create a democratic republic. I must admit that Dr. Richard Solomon was the Assistant Secretary of State at the time, may he rest in peace, and that Bush and Baker were the principals involved in this episode. So I warn you about war, and I've discussed the past, but I wish you all the best for the future. Stay alert, be vigilant, and always tell the truth. This is Dr. Steve Pieczenik, and I will see you next week. Hi, this is Dr. Steve Pieczenik, and this is Steve Talks.